Hey folks, welcome to another exciting edition of Torah Talk. Levi Ben Abraham with Rabbi Rabs. And so I'm starting my 6th week of my job. And
hello, I'm Rabbi Rab.
I noticed that I tend to be profoundly affected by whatever environment I put myself in. So I'll go to synagogue, I'll study Daf Yomi, I'll pray Shacharit, pray the morning prayers. I'll come home, eat breakfast, head off to work, and then very quickly, I'm making like dirty jokes. Like I just go to work, and suddenly, like all the kedusha that I've been building in the morning, with my Talmud study and my prayer and being around fellow Orthodox Jews, and then suddenly I'm at work, and it dissipates frighteningly quickly.
Can I give a Torah insight on that one? What's happening is very simple.
Yeah.
The Yetzer Hara fights hardest when you're involved in the most kedusha.
Yeah.
When a Jew immerses himself in Torah and in and doing mitzvahs,
Yeah.
and he's involved in kedusha and holiness, that's when the Yetzer Hara is going to put up with the biggest fight. The Yetzer Hara is not going to die. There is nobody who's ever strangled the Yetzer Hara, cracked it, and threw it in the trash can. It's not like it just goes, and look at me, I'm a tzaddik. Mm-hmm. It's the opposite. You might think, oh, look at me, I'm such a tzaddik. That's when you're going to get snapped in the ass.
Yeah.
Okay? You're never going to kill the Yetzer Hara.
Yeah.
Okay, let's be realistic. You're never going to kill it. Only a tzaddik can kill it.
Yeah.
At best, you're going to lose. You're going to lose some battles and you're going to win some. Okay, does that make any sense?
Yeah.
So when you're involved in Torah study all morning, and you're not letting the Yetzer Hara in at all. It says, okay, you know what, Levi, I'm going to let you win all morning. You're going to have the davening, you're going to have the getting up early, you're going to have everything, and I'm just going to go back to bed.
Exactly, that's what happens. My Yetzer Hara goes to bed until about 10:30, 11 a.m.
It just sets its alarm clock and says, I'll have fun with you at 11 because you've got nothing Torah going on from 11 to 5, right?
Right,
you're
right.
And I'll just have a field day then.
Yeah.
Because your whole Judaism is in the morning.
Yeah.
Your Judaism doesn't go into the afternoon.
Yeah.
So the Yetzer Hara is going to win this fight because it would just be you versus it, and you've got no tools on your side. So what do you think I'm going to say is the fix-it for that?
Have some tools on my side?
Have some tools on your side. What would that...
Maybe you like a picture of the Rebbe?
No, God.
I put a picture of the Rebbe up in my office.
How about a picture of Jesus? Like three... Jesus, the Rebbe, and Karl Marx. Like 3 wise Jews who died. That'd be great. I was thinking more in terms of why don't you bring a safer with you?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And then, when they give, cigarette breaks, because you don't smoke.
Right.
Right? You'll just whip out your kedusha, and you'll get a head filled with Torah again.
Yeah.
And you'll be looking forward to it. And you know what you're going to do at that point is keep pushing off. You're going to be kicking the can down the street, as they say.
Yeah.
You're going to say, I'm going to have my Yetzer Hara time, and I'm going to be thinking about chicks and talking and making dirty jokes.
Yeah.
But it's going to wait until after all the Jew stuff is done. But you're going to tease the Yetzer Hara because you're never really going to have downtime. Because you're going to be thinking about Torah your whole day. You're going to whole day going to be thinking about Torah. You're going to have that safer there, and that's going to be what you're going to do all the time.
Yeah, and I had a couple of thoughts. One is that if I wasn't going to synagogue in the morning, I wouldn't even notice the decline because I'd just be at that fairly low level. So if I go to work and I'm told a dirty joke, I wouldn't notice how I've fallen because I wouldn't have fallen if I just got up and had didn't do anything Torah, didn't say my prayers.
Right.
Then I wouldn't notice the decline. At least this way I notice the decline.
Right.
So at least I have a couple of hours of elevation.
Right. Do you have your own desk there?
Yeah.
And you have your own drawers?
Yeah.
I want you to take a sefer that you will actually read.
Okay.
And put it in one of your drawers.
Yeah.
And actually pull it out of your drawer and put it on your desk
Yeah.
And that's going to be like what you're going to that. You're going. That's your kollel.
Yeah.
That is your learning place away from home. You're going to this place to read that sefer because you don't own that sefer at home. And you're going there all day to learn. But they're going to have jobs for you to do. It's going to pull you away from that. But that's fine. But you're going there now to learn. That's where you're going to study. That's when you're going to do your Jew thing. Is at work.
Yeah.
Your Jew thing is not limited to just a little tiny yarmulke on the top of your head.
Right.
It's more than that. You're going to be learning Torah all day.
I like that because I often, I say to the Jews who work there, hey, have you put on tefillin today?
Oh, like you're better than them.
No. I'm offering to put tefillin on.
Oh, yeah, okay.
And they just make a joke, and then I kind of join in with the joke. Because they talk about all the Orthodox Jews who ripped them off and stole from them and committed all these shandas. So, I kind of go along with it. Or I'll say, hey, you want to do a mitzvah for Israel? And or you want to come over for Shabbos? And they just laugh and make fun. And then I laugh too. Because, who am I? So, yeah. Is there a study group that I could join for a midday break? Wow, the Lakewood Rav is really bringing the Torah today.
That would be a good one, too. I actually like that idea, if there would be.
There are two Orthodox guys on my floor.
You still haven't told me whereabouts you work. What part of the town?
I work in West Los Angeles, near the 405.
Oh, over there.
Yeah.
So on Westwood Boulevard.
So between Westwood, Olympic, Pico, and the 405.
So I figured Wilshire and Westwood, where all the law offices are.
Right around there.
I used to have my personal injury attorney when I had my car accident. He had an office right around there.
How much money did you get?
Oh, I got fucked.
How much money did you get?
I got in the ass.
How much?
Well, she had the woman who was at fault. She had very low minimum insurance.
Right. So you got $15,000.
So it was $15,000, and the lawyer got
half.
Yeah, because he signed on that he was going to take whatever it was, 30% or whatever it is, and 40% if we went for litigation.
Yeah.
So it was 30%, but he has all these expenses.
Oh yeah, expenses. Yeah.
They're he fills the whole thing up with his expenses, and he takes care of himself with the 15. I got nothing.
So I'm working for a personal injury lawyer. So
oh my God!
We're just doing that all day.
Oh fuck!
Every time
I don't want to get to know you at all. For the
I do far worse things than that.
No, this was highway robbery. He took my money. The guy took my money. I should have been entitled to.
How much how much of that $15,000 do you feel that you were entitled to?
Okay, I know that you're going to tell me that then the lawyer's working for free. He's working pro bono, right? Mm-hmm. But I really feel if there's $15,000 and I'm the one with the pain, I've got a chronic pain. Permanent injury came from that. I'm entitled 90% of that fucking money. That's how I feel.
So he should work for $1,500 to get you your money, $1,500.
Right, and obviously he's not going to do that.
Not many people are going to do that. Because he's going to put in...
I know, and he's got to pay for this whole office building and all that.
And he's going to have to put in probably 15 hours.
Right, and then he brought in a biomedical engineer who had to put together a study to see how a 4-car pilot caused this injury so we could go and present that in front of a judge. Right? And that cost $2,000 just to have this guy write up a report.
Yeah.
I want that job. The guy wrote up a 5-page report and got $2,000 for it.
I'm really impressed with my boss. It's really great to work for someone who's ethical.
Okay.
My boss does not cut any ethical corners.
Okay.
Of course, this is my 6th week working there. But
I know exactly which floor you're on.
But he doesn't cut any ethical corners. He doesn't take cases that he thinks could be fraudulent. Because the personal injury is just filled with gunners, with thieves, and with grifters, people running scams, and he doesn't do any of that. He's very ethical. I can't bait him into ever saying anything racist. I try to bait him into saying anything. He would never say anything racist, and it's great work. He always pays me totally on time, totally by the book. I give him a bill. He pays every penny. doesn't like quibble about it, doesn't like try to Jew me down, doesn't try to shaft me in any way. Like a really upright guy. And he's not religious, but he's just totally ethical. And I think I would much rather work for an ethical secularist than an Orthodox Jew who is shady.
Okay.
And there are a lot of Orthodox Jewish shady lawyers.
I can tell you there's also a lot of secular ones that are shady too.
Yeah.
That's a commodity.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be Jewish, just lawyers are shady.
Yeah.
And I think the worst are the personal injury ones. No, just because like they have the stereotype of being the ambulance chasers, right? And I had this experience with this one, and it just freaked me out at the end when it was all said and done. That I had here's a couple $1,000 for your pain.
No, seriously, how much did you come away?
I think at the end I only had it was just my
7,000.
No.
Less than 7,000.
Oh yeah, because it was all these expenses, and he kept sending me to different doctors and stuff, and each one needed to be paid off. And at the end, all of my doctor bills were paid for.
Yeah, but how much money did you get?
In pocket? Nothing.
Yeah, nothing. Yeah.
It was all paid for.
Yeah.
Because there was this lien on it, so I kept going to different doctors, and it was put.
Do you think it's possible that he was completely ethical? It's just that's the way your situation would resolve.
I don't know, but here's at the end of the day, you had all these doctors who were billing for thousands of dollars. Then you had Blue Cross or something that was billing for thousands of dollars, right? And everybody was and he gets to decide how much money everybody's going to get. It was to me, it was he wants his money, the doctors want their money, I want my money, right? Blue Cross wants their money, and at the end of the day, this guy gets to decide how much each player gets, and it all went to him. How did he get in charge?
How much do you think he pocketed out of your case?
He got 40%.
So he got about $6,000.
Yes.
40% of $15,000 is $6,000.
He got $6,000 that he can go to the Kings game, right? I got no cash from it. All of my money went to the hospital and to doctor's bills and whatnot. Blue Cross was pissed because they felt they got shorted $2,000. The doctors were pissed because they felt they were working for peanuts. So everybody's pissed, and this guy's walking off with all the money. What gives him the moral high ground that he can decide how much everybody should get? I didn't understand that.
Well, having a job is really good for me, because if I don't have a job, if I'm not engaged with other people every day, I get really weird, antisocial, and very emotionally unstable. So, people at work are saying to me, aren't you ever unhappy? Because I always have a positive countenance. I'm always happy at work. Always.
Okay.
So,
I was never happy when I was working. I was never happy.
I'm shocked. Because normally you're such an upbeat person.
First of all, we have quite a few. We have 7 people watching us right now. Abe's, hey Boy Wonder, hey Henry, hey Lakewood Rob is there telling me what to do. Hey Talmud123, that's Justin, and hey Faith, how you doing?
How did your show with Justin go yesterday?
Yesterday? You didn't watch it?
No.
You put a like on it when I put it on Facebook.
Well, I thought it was great that you guys were talking to her.
Oh, but you didn't bother to watch it, because usually when people put a like, they've watched it.
I would reckon that most people put a like on it, don't watch most of it.
Oh, no. No, because then they would just put a like on the, we're going to have a show. The people who actually put a like on, when I put up the video, it was people who watched it. That's my assumption.
Okay. So how'd it go?
I thought it went really well.
How long did it last?
We went an hour.
Wow, so he's really settled down.
Yeah,
he used to be so over the top that it last 10 minutes.
No, it was really, I thought it was really good. Your name came up.
Ah.
Because we were, where the hell is Malachi? Malachi is always in our chat room. He's not there. That's going to have to be looked at. Malachi is not allowed to have a life outside of this. This Torah is life. When you step outside of the chat room and you're not watching Luke and Rabs.
Malachi's a Jew?
Yeah. He said an interesting thing yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
He commented that the when the show was going on, the chat room was 50-50 female and male in the chat room. 50-50 male and female, right? Which was the highest percentage that the females had gotten to ever since we started doing shows at the House of Ravs, right? So I mentioned that when we started at the summer of 2010, the chat room was like all these young single women. It was all single females, right? And then two things happened. One is that the Lakewood Rav, who at the time was somebody else, he was Chaim Mullock and the sheriff of OK Corral.
Sheriff of Torah Town.
Or something. And he chased a lot of them away. And then you started in with your stuff, and you scared it with all your misogynist drool, and you scared him away. And now it's like an all-guy thing. You know, Faith is the only one in there who has the balls to stay in the room. Okay. So that's what's going on. So he made that point yesterday that the Rabs and Justin show brings in the females. I also think it's because there's no Luke and there's no Lakewood Rav in there at all. But I also think it's because Justin has a lot of the sex charm going on. He's got the sexy.
Yes. And you were feeling betrayed by me this week.
I also wanted to say that Justin's posted on my Facebook right before the show started tonight that the person who does the single most for Kiruv, Jewish outreach, right, of the entire Jewish community is Rabbi Ravs. No one does more. And if anyone who disagrees with that statement is somebody who is unwilling to admit that the Torah is true. They can't handle the truth of Torah. Go to the viewers, you don't see the joy. Malachi, we're just talking about you because I mentioned that you weren't in the chat room, and that never happened. So this was like the first time we started the show and you weren't in there. So, and I quoted your quote yesterday about the chat room, so you have to rewatch this. Okay, so what did you say? You
were feeling betrayed by me.
I was a little bit betrayed by this guy.
Why?
Because this is what happened. Tell him what you did. Tell your story, and then I'll tell you why I'm betrayed.
Oh, is it about the other rabbi comic?
Yeah, the other.
So I met a Hasidic rabbi who's also a comic. So I posted about it on my Facebook wall and on my blog.
And I felt that was a little bit of betrayal.
Yeah, how so?
Well, how would you feel? Okay, if I posted on Facebook or on my website or whatever, right, that I met another from convert who does Alexander training, and I'm telling everybody, hey, this is really exciting. This guy does Alexander technique, right? But even that wouldn't be the same, right? Because you'd be like, okay, he does Alexander, I do Alexander. You wouldn't feel like it's your territory because
there are a lot of Alexander teachers.
There's a lot of Alexander teachers, and there's probably a few that are from, right? It's not like you were the first.
Right.
But let's say like you were the first. You were the first from Jew to ever do Alexander, okay? And you made a big business out of it. You know, you were listed in the whatever. You know what I mean? You won like an Academy Award for Alexander, right? And you were this Jew, and everybody knew you as he's the Jew, he's the frummy Jew Alexander guy. Right? You're the yarmulke and the other. So 10 or 15 years from now, after you've been doing this for 10 or 15 years, suddenly some guy breaks into the business. He's wearing a yarmulke just like you. He's a ger just like you, right? He's doing like the whole thing. And I go, hey, wow, a Jew who does Alexander. It's like he's stealing your bit. And you shouldn't be I felt like you let me down because you want to get behind the show. And like, what's my role here? I'm the rabbi comic. So you're just like, whoa, I'm embracing another rabbi. You're like the I'll say better than just Alexander. He was a Jew of the yarmulke who covered porn. Because nobody tunes in because they say, "Ooh, it's the guy from the Alexander technique. I want to work on my back and my neck." Nobody tunes in there. They tune in because.
So how hurt, upset do you think I'd be in that situation?
Knowing you with your Christian upbringing, you'd probably just turn the cheek and you wouldn't care.
Exactly.
But that's because you didn't grow up Jewish. See, that's the thing. Who else is in the room? I'm a Jew, so everything's like a bigger deal.
Yeah, it might sting a little bit, or I might feel a twinge, but I don't think it would be a big deal. Like, there are two Chabad rabbi comics, apparently. There's Mendy Pellin and Simcha.
And they're all rip-offs of me. And you want to know what a rip-off that this Mendy Pellin is?
Mm-hmm.
You put up a wiki
Mm-hmm.
on your blog.
Mm-hmm.
And in the wiki for himself,
Mm-hmm.
right, he writes that which he took like my own words, okay, that I have had on my website. Gee, I wonder where he found it, and is in a documentary, a made-for-TV documentary about me that was produced 10 years ago. And he took the words almost verbatim from that video and put them into his wiki about him.
How do you know he wrote his wiki? I had nothing to do with my wiki. In fact, it's against the terms of service to work on your own wiki.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah. I'm not saying he did or
because
didn't.
it looked like his words. It looked like...
I'm betting his manager did it.
Okay.
But I have no idea.
Okay.
I didn't question it.
So whatever it is, it's the whole thing, whether he's doing it personally,
mm-hmm.
but it's for his benefit, because it looked like a press release, the way it was written.
Yeah, it looked to me like a press release.
It was his press release.
Like his manager or someone.
Right, his manager or whoever the hell it is.
Right.
Took a look at my website or watched the video about me and wrote up the press release. It's almost verbatim. And it's like, I did this 10 years and now he's completely stealing my act. And so how do I feel about him? So you ask me, how would you feel, if someone completely made themselves out to be... What if somebody called themselves like LukeFord.com?
Well, I took my old website, lucasback.com.
just
took it over and kept doing the same thing.
How would you feel? It's like... it would just, so now you know what I'm talking about. Except the only difference is you want it out of that, and you can't get... But, you know what I'm saying?
So, Abe says, 1 second, Rabs, you big capitalist, what's wrong with a little competition?
Abe's? Excuse me, but the Constitution has a clause in it to protect, what's it called? It's the copyright clause. And copyrights fringe, copyright trademarks and inventions are protected by the Constitution. It's actually a clause in the original Constitution, 1789, because we want to protect and promote creative genius here in America. And here's the problem. My creative genius is being taken from this guy. He might as well call himself Rabs, right? There was a reason.
Have you watched any of his work?
I don't want to. I really don't want to. It sickens me that he's out there. And I have no interest in all these guys. I had the misfortune of watching... Actually, I did watch one, because it was put in front of me one time. And I didn't think it was funny. He did like a bit with trying to get ketchup to suck up through his beard. I thought it was lame. Right? And the other one, who's here in L.A., Levenberg or something?
Yeah, Simcha Levenberg.
I saw somebody showed me a clip of this guy years ago. He was at the Ha Ha Cafe, which is in North Hollywood,
mm-hmm.
and I didn't think he was funny. There was a lot of words said, and I don't do that. I can't explain it.
One thing I noticed about them is that their primary audience is Orthodox Jews,
Right?
and your primary
I was a
audience is
crossover.
non-Jews.
Right, exactly. I'm the crossover.
Shall we move on to the Parsha?
So I have a big problem. But you know what? I had a prophetic line in
mm-hmm.
the end of Unorthodox, which is the It's a documentary. You can find it on my YouTube. It's a documentary made for TV about me.
Mm-hmm.
In the interview, I said, at the end of the interview, I said, they said, what's your claim to fame? And I said, I'm going to go down in history as the very first rabbi comic. So when the other 15 other rabbi comics all make it really big, right, they can all look back and say, oh, I'm the guy that opened the door for them. I'm the guy that broke the ice for them. And it's prophetic. I didn't realize it was going to happen so fast that these other guys were going to show up and rip me off. And hell, I already used to it because Matisyahu did essentially the same thing.
Matisyahu ripped you off.
We talked about this. We already have a whole book.
I know.
No, but we obviously don't do the same. We're not the same genre. But the idea of a frummy, dressed in full Hasidic garb, getting on stage in front of non-Jews.
No, he used to call himself Lubavitch.
I don't know. He's a
so that's a weakness when when you identify as a specific sect of Orthodox Judaism, you have less freedom to navigate. Like, you want to go out there and tell the world you're Lubavitch and then do shows for, college-age girls and, get photos taken, with girls touching you. Or you
I showed you those photos.
Right, you're going to get in trouble. So that's what happened, and he got sick of the grief that he used to get
You think that's why he left
from his community, and so I think that's why he shaved his beard.
You think so?
Yeah.
You think that's the reason?
I think that contributed.
Okay, let me ask you, because you and him shaved your beard within hours of each other. The first tweet was, "Hey, I shaved my beard for Matisyahu," and the second tweet...
Oh, mine was a couple of weeks before.
And the second tweet was Luke and going "Steal my act, why don't you?"
Didn't even occur to me.
First he stole Rab's act by doing the whole Hasidic thing, and then he stole Levi's act by shaving. I'm having a good time tonight.
Didn't even occur to me. But it's funny, Shmuley Baiteach became a Lubavitch rabbi, then he became too controversial, he kind of got pushed out of the movement. Then
let me tell you, because they got embarrassed by him, so they're trying to marginalize him.
Then he started coming back into their good graces, then he came out with this book on Jesus, and it's
oh yeah!
We don't want anything to do with this guy.
Okay, let me check it out. If you go and do a Google on this Jesus book, right, and you look for opinion, reviews from Torah people, people, from Jews,
right?
All of the condemnation, right? Every time you see somebody condemn him and condemn what he's doing, Google them, and you will find that they're Lubavitch.
Yeah,
Lubavitch has it's
they don't want anything to do with it.
They don't. But there's a thing in the Talmud someone says something. Let's say Luke comes up and says, the Torah says you're allowed to eat salami.
Right.
And there's a Rabbi Aleph says you're not allowed to eat salami. And Rabbi B says it says you can't eat salami. And Rabbi C says you can't eat salami. Rabbi D says you can't eat salami. And then you get 10 people say you can't eat salami, right? Mm-hmm. Sometimes the Gemara yells out Shita. Shita. What does Shita mean? It means you're all following the same Shita. There's 10 of you,
right?
But it's not add them all up. Right? It's not like the Bar Elon way of learning Torah. You ever get the Bar Elon CD way of learning Torah? The way they add up the number. They add up the number of people on one side, and it's like a scoreboard. It's okay, 610 rabbis go this way, and only 35 go the other way. So this must be the whole. I'm like, what? Did it ever occur to you that it's quality and not quantity? That one of these 35 was Rev Moshe and the Rambam, but it doesn't matter because 14 obscure guys from YU say the, So what am I saying here? So that the Gemara will yell Shita, and that means it's identified that all of these people follow the same Shita.
Same tradition.
So it's it's one person. Don't keep repeating yourself. It's it's a Me Too thing. Somebody would yell, okay, we don't do Me Toos on this mailing list, right? You know what that is, Me Too?
Yeah.
Like, me too. Like,
Yeah.
we don't me too on this mailing list. If you do that like 3 times, you're kicked off the mailing list. So that's basically it. It's a me too. All right. So what are we talking about? I forgot.
How all the Lubavitchers were condemning
Right.
Shmuley Bertean for his Jesus book.
99% of all the people out there who condemn his book that you'll find on the internet are all Lubavitch. So it's a me too. You just need to know that Lubavitch condemns. I found one rabbi so far who's not Lubavitch who stands against it. So as far as I'm concerned, there are 2 people on the planet who don't like him, because all Lubavitch is one, and then this one non-Lubavitcher who works like in Jews for Judaism or something, and he's against it too. Okay, but no, everybody else like doesn't have an opinion. Like it's you know what it'd be like. It's like somebody.
Well, Jews for Judaism are Lubavitch.
But aren't there non-Chabads who are in there?
There may very well be, but its leaders are Lubavitch.
Right. Sheikhed and Kravitz here.
Mm-hmm.
But I think there's at least one non-Chabad who's in it, and he voted against it. Okay. I think he's a YU person, too.
Okay.
But I'm not positive. But the answer to my question, because I was asking the question, is why don't people who are not Chabad, why don't they come out and condemn this guy's book?
Right.
And the answer is because I think it's like this. You're asking the question like, a Jew wrote a book, and the book is talking about Buddha, right? And they have an opinion on Buddha, one way or the other.
Mm-hmm.
The average Jew in yeshiva who's learned in Torah his whole life doesn't have an opinion on Buddha. Like, we don't care. It's got nothing to do with us.
Right.
And I'm not going to spend time from my day to go read this book on Buddha and then go have to do research to find out if this book is correct or not, because I don't know anything about Buddha, because I don't care. It's not shaykh for a guy who's learning in base midrash all day to keep up on what goes on in every religion. It's not my responsibility, because I'm learning Torah Judaism, to become proficient in Buddha, Hindu, and Zoroastrian. I don't know it. I don't care. So the average Jew who's learning in base midrash doesn't know these things. He doesn't care. He has no opinion, and it doesn't concern him. And I think that's why you don't see any rebbeim coming out one way or another on this, because it doesn't have any shaykhs to us. The only people who are involved in this are Chabad, and their shaykhs to it is because they want to distance themselves from this guy. And the reason that Chabad wants to distance this guy so much on this particular Indian, because you said they had let him back in.
Yeah.
It's very obvious. Because Chabad is fighting a PR nightmare right now, because more and more information is being disclosed how they are very Christian-like in their foundation. That their own ideologies are very much like the Christians, at least like the Christians in their early goings, let's say first century Christians. And first century Chabad, you can make almost a one-for-one parallel. So they're fighting teeth and nail because all their money coming in, they don't want to be completely cut off from the rest of the Jewish people. So here comes a guy from their group talking about how Jesus is kosher. It's like this is the ultimate PR nightmare, because the people who are like the Jesus ones, and they're supposed to be kosher, one of them even came out and said Jesus is kosher. So they have to get rid of this guy, and so he's become the ultimate pariah. The ultimate pariah.
Was Jackie Mason an inspiration to you? He was a rabbi and he became a comic.
Jackie Mason became Fry.
Right, but he was a rabbi.
Rav Moshe gave him smicha, but Rav Moshe is not a navi. He's not a prophet. I think that Jackie Mason very happy banging shiksas right now, so I don't really think you can put the two of us in the same category.
I have a friend who's a Torah Jew, but he's not Lubavitch, but he sends his kids to a Lubavitch day school, some of his kids, and one of them's coming back with all these beliefs about the Rebbe and gets very upset if you say anything against the Rebbe. And so the parent doesn't even can't reprogram the kid, and has given up trying to reprogram the kid, and just lets him believe what he wants. Another kid who goes there has no special beliefs about the Rebbe, but the younger one who goes there, it's like the Rebbe this, the Rebbe that.
Right. My rabbi explained to me that the younger the Lubavitcher, the more dangerous and the more they're going to be infiltrated with this, that you can almost go by age. The percentages of the ones who are really old, who are going to be over the top Rebbe, is going to be very low. Mm-hmm. But as you get down to like the ones under 5 years old, it's going to be like widespread. Because the farther we get away from it, the more and more the younger generation, who are the ones who are all into this stuff, are the ones teaching and having influence over the ones younger than them. So it becomes like exponential, this phenomena. So, because I used to say to him, that's not really true. I don't see Chabad being like so widespread because, I grew up, 30 years ago, people weren't like whacked out. And he went, yeah, exactly, 30 years ago. But now you got to remember that the people today, some of them weren't even born then, and it's completely different. And it's just a group that's disintegrated. And I wrote this about it in my book, and you read it, like 100 years from now. The way things are going, it's pretty obvious it's going to be 3 religions: Judaism, Christianity, and Chabad.
So, Lakewood Rav asks, are Chabad women hot? And very frequently, yes, they frequently dress fashionably.
Here we go.
The wives of Shlukim, the Chabad emissaries out into the world, are usually quite attractive because the Shlukim are the elite in the Chabad movement. So when you're the elite, you get your pick of the most attractive women. So I often notice when I go to a Chabad synagogue how many beautiful women, and I try not to look because usually they're all married. And Heshi Fried's marrying a beautiful Lubavitch woman, Heshi Fried of Purim Satire. So I've got friends who are like in the second half of life. They're like over 45, and they're divorced, and they're Kohanim, looking to get married. But because they're Cohens, because they're priests from the Jewish priestly caste, they're not allowed to marry a divorcee. They also have this idea that they can't marry anyone who's ever been with a non-Jew. And so their choices are really narrow.
You said that right. I'm very impressed, and I'll tell you why.
Yeah.
You don't realize how many Jews who know something about Torah don't know that. I will most often hear that they think that a Kohen must marry a virgin.
Yeah.
You don't. No, seriously. That is one of the biggest stumbling blocks, I would say, in Torah knowledge. That if I'm going to go up to 95%, I'm going to guess 95% of the people I've talked to, don't know that.
So let's say someone's not observant, not even half observant. Partly observant, but not even half observant, and but they're fairly active in traditional Jewish life, and they're a Kohen, but in all sorts of ways they're violating the Torah.
Okay.
What would happen to them socially if they went ahead and married a divorcee in Orthodox Jewish life?
Socially?
Yeah.
I can't answer.
Because no one.
That's not a Torah question.
They're not. It's a sociological question.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm just curious because no one has any misapprehension that these people are otherwise observant. They're not observant. They're just like hangers-on in traditional Jewish life. They'll come around, but no one is fooled that they're observant. And so I'm thinking, what would happen? Why are they so frum, say, in this one mitzvah? When in so many other mitzvahs they're not observant, why are they going to make themselves miserable on this one particular mitzvah?
Wait, who's the they?
Those who are in the second half of life, who are Kohanim,
right?
Who aren't observant,
right?
Why make yourself miserable by observing this one particular mitzvah?
When you're not keeping Shabbos and kosher.
Right.
Oh, okay. So here's the question ladies asked. You got a Jew, they're not keeping Shabbos, they're not Shomer Shabbos, they're not keeping Shabbos, they're not keeping kosher, and they're really, they're just like traditional.
In some ways. In lots of ways, they're not traditional at all.
Okay, so they may have delved in pornography.
They delve in all sorts of things currently.
Okay, but and you're saying that they're going to tell you that they're a Kohen that can only marry...
Yeah.
So, I'm going to be honest. I've never met anybody like that, because normally... The people who tell me, I'm a Kohen and I can only marry like X, Y, and Z are people who are already keeping Shabbos and
right.
And,
then that makes sense to me. If you're observant, if you're Torah observant, it totally makes sense to me that you would deny yourself in this area. But if you're not Torah observant,
I don't understand.
you just
that.
come around.
I've never heard anybody like that.
Like, why would you be careful
sense.
in this one mitzvah? Just like if your primary sexual orientation
is
towards the same sex.
I'm going to say something.
Yeah,
I'm going to say something
Yeah.
that's going to shock waves, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm just going to say this. If you're not Shomer Shabbos,
Yeah.
and you're not keeping kosher,
Yeah.
right? You have no, you don't necessarily even believe that God exists. You
Right.
don't believe the Torah is true, right? You don't keep Shabbos. You have no interest in Shabbos. You have no interest in
No,
kashrus.
these people have some interest, but they're not.
Okay.
They're not there.
Okay, right? Why are you even worried about a Cohen? I say
Because they have friends.
Hold on. I say there's no reason in my mind. Why not marry a non-Jew? You're worried about marrying someone who's not fit for a Cohen. What about a Goy? What about Shiksa?
Well, you're not listening to me. I'm saying these are people who are in traditional Jewish life.
They're in traditional.
They go to
You told me less than
Orthodox. They're not traditional. They do all sorts of things that are against Torah.
Okay.
But they still go to shul.
Okay.
They still have friends. They participate. They'll come to Seder's. They'll come to Shabbat dinners. They'll still participate.
But you can go to Shabbat dinners and you can go to a Seder married to a Shiksa.
You're not hearing me. They have connections to traditional Jewish life, and I think that's what's keeping them. Like they don't want. My main question was sociological, which you didn't want to tackle. Like, what would be would they lose all their friends?
Look, I'm going to be honest with you.
Yeah.
If they're not keeping Shabbos,
Yeah.
and they're publicly not keeping it,
Yeah.
and they're publicly not keeping kosher,
Yeah.
right, and they're publicly not from,
Yeah.
they're secular.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone with half a brain, right, gives a shit if they marry someone who's not a Kohen.
Right.
So if you ask me my sociological question,
that's
like,
what
but I can't answer because some Jews are so verstupt the cup
Right.
that they would actually care about this
Right.
and be lost in the tree against the forest.
Right.
And I would say, Chacham, they don't keep Shabbos, they don't keep kosher, and you're worried about them marrying like the wrong person? Like, what's your problem, right?
Yeah.
So I would turn it around on them. And it would not surprise me if the frum community was filled with retards that thought that way.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? But I'm going to say, benefit of the doubt, that people are smart enough to have what's called an ikr and a tuffle. Do you know what that is?
They're able to weigh things up.
See what's the priority and what's not.
Right.
Because when you're already not keeping Shabbos, thank God he didn't marry you good. Because I can't make a solid, logical argument why a Jewish guy or a Jewish girl should not intermarry when they don't consider Torah the truth. Because in my mind, there is only one reason to marry Jews, and that's because God told us to. But if you take that sentence away, I don't see why you can't intermarry. So everybody should have the attitude of, hey, at least he's marrying a Jewish woman. Okay, he's a Cohen or whatever, but come on. He doesn't follow, he doesn't follow.
That would be a
He's
typical...
eating at McDonald's.
Yeah, that'd be a typical rabbi's perspective. Like
really?
Yeah, I think that's like if someone's got a Torah background, that's the perspective they'd have.
Right. However, having said that, I would not perform the wedding.
Obviously, yeah.
It's not a kosher wedding.
I have a friend who was an Orthodox rabbi at a pulpit, and then got divorced, went off the derech, and then came back. These people have a hard time. Like if you were a rabbi, you go off the derech.
Rabbi.
Yeah, but you've never gone off the derech publicly.
A long time ago.
Not in the last 20 years.
No.
And you never had a pulpit.
I had a pulpit.
I'm trying to keep Torah talk on a high level here, and the rabbi keeps dragging it down into the gutter. But that's okay. I don't judge. But like if you were, if you were a rabbi, you go off the derech, you come back, probably gonna have a hard time. What do you think?
Okay, let's say like the Rav of the shul you daven at.
A Rav of the shul leaves Torah and then comes back.
And then
He's gonna have a hard time.
Like, how far did he go off? Like, what did he do?
he publicly desecrated Shabbos repeatedly, just like
I think he might get embraced back.
yeah.
As long as he didn't do something to shame the community.
Right. Yeah.
You know, like
Yeah.
like he opened up no, even if he opened up a reform place, it might not be the end of the world.
Right.
But if he was quoted like trashing like Orthodox,
Right. Yeah, if you write an expose book
or have a blog,
or a blog,
then I think that people might remember that. Or if he got busted for some, child molestation or something like that.
well, there's so many have been busted for that.
And I want to say that if he was caught banging some other woman, some other woman, or banging some man's wife or something like that.
Yeah.
But I have seen that the
that
community,
goes on all the time.
the community,
yeah.
like,
Well, boys will be boys.
I don't understand it, but like I'm not okay.
It's amazing what you can get away with in Orthodox Jewish.
I know somebody. Okay, let me tell you something. Okay,
Yeah.
I know somebody who worked. I'm not even going to say names or identify anybody, so don't ask me. Okay, but I know somebody who got busted. He was busted banging he married guy banging some other guy's wife.
Mm-hmm.
He was caught with his pants down.
Mm-hmm.
The husband of the wife went to this guy's boss. Okay, who's a frummie.
Mm-hmm.
A frummie.
Mm-hmm.
And said, I demand this guy get fired.
Mm-hmm.
And they fired him. But, the next day, he showed up, got a new job at the competitor. And the competitor was another frummie.
Yeah.
And the rumor has it, although I have no way to prove it, that when they fired him from that job,
They arranged for him to get the other one.
they arranged for him to get the other one.
That would be a very typical thing to do in a traditional Jewish life. Like, you get caught molesting a boy, okay, you're done in this community, let's transfer you to Las Vegas or Miami or New York or Israel.
But that's just like kicking the can. That's
how we've done things for hundreds of years.
But that doesn't do anything for the guy who was the victim.
No.
That didn't do diddly. He
Yeah.
wants this guy dead and buried, right?
Yeah.
He's like...
Yeah.
And like the best he's going to get is this guy's going to get a job transfer with a raise.
Exactly.
So how does...
Well, it depends how much juice you have. If you have a lot of juice, if you have connections, you can get away with almost anything. They'll move you to a different community.
I know that for a fact too. I know a rabbi. I got so many stuff. Just don't ask me for names. I know a rabbi of an Orthodox shul in a town, right? They got hot in that area.
Yeah.
Because there was a lot of rumors going around that he was having affairs with women in the community, and he was married with the whole time.
Yeah.
Now, they could have been single women,
Yeah.
but, the fact that he was married wasn't perceived well.
Yeah.
And things got a little hot, so he left his post, and he moved to another area. And he was like, no problem. It's like, and somebody said, well, keep your eyes on this guy.
Yeah.
Because tends that you're...
Yeah, if you're playing around as a rabbi, with women in the community, which is really self-destructive, you're going to do that again.
Yeah, and he did.
Yeah.
And it took about 5 years or so, and he got busted again for it.
Yeah.
Because it follows you. Your past follows you.
What we'd say in sex addiction meetings is that this sex addiction is a terminal disease. Like, it'll get worse and worse and worse, and you'll just keep destroying your life until you turn things around. So yeah, that sort of behavior will keep following you. Hey, good news, folks. If you're out there, you're a Kohen, you want to marry a divorcee, Rabbi David Wolpe has very liberal views on this matter. So,
why are we quoting a guy who's not even from?
Just for giggles.
Well, why don't you tell people that this guy doesn't speak for Judaism, that he's a heretic and he speaks for heretical nonsense.
When have I labeled anyone a heretic?
He's a heretic. He doesn't speak.
You call people heretics.
He's a heretic. So you think if somebody who's like a reformer conservative rabbi that they're still considered a legitimate source?
No, I didn't say...
So look, are conservative and reform, are they legitimate? Are they a legitimate part of Judaism?
They are a legitimate part of Judaism and there's no way that anyone in traditional Judaism can accept them as a legitimate part of Judaism. I know that's probably mutually contradictory. Okay, in Judaism, first of all, in traditional Jewish life, we don't talk about Judaism. Like that's things for Reform Jews talk about, Christians talk about Judaism. We talk about Yiddishkeit, we talk about Torah. So Judaism is something that Christians talk about and Reform and conservative Jews talk about. And so
is Reform and conservative, is that kosher? Yes or no?
From the perspective of traditional
yes or no?
I'm not going to say yes or no. From the perspective of the Masorah, it's not kosher.
It's not kosher. From perspective of the Torah tradition, from the Masorah,
it's not kosher.
Is conservative and reform apicorsis?
Yes.
So it's heretical? Yes. So a leader of a movement that is heretical, a rabbi of a reform or conservative temple, is a heretic. They spew heresy and they separate Jews from Torah.
I prefer to. Okay, I got problems with that, particularly the last phrase, they separate Jews from Torah. The Jews that they're speaking to were never part of the Torah world to begin with. So they're not being separated from Torah.
However, if that person wasn't there, if that leader of that heretical movement wasn't in the way, that Jew might have gotten to the Torah.
I think that Jew would be much more likely to have nothing to do with Jewish life.
Here's how I look at it. Mm-hmm. A Jew is like a mosquito. It is always looking for the light. Mm-hmm. The light is the Torah. Okay? Conservative and reform and the Kabbalah Center and...
Well, why is the Kabbalah Center not kosher?
It's a cult.
But that's just a cheap put down. Why is it not kosher?
Why is it not kosher?
Yeah.
Because...
They're observant. They believe that every word of the Torah comes from God. They believe in the Masorah. I'll say it's weird, and they do some things that are not normative, but they believe every word of the Torah comes from God. They believe that the oral Torah comes from God. They believe in the Masorah. All the people who operate, who are leaders, who are like they're Torah observant. They don't drive on Shabbos. They don't intermarry. They don't marry even people who aren't observant. They're fully observant.
So then why...
They're weird. They're strange. But like Breslov is strange. But even probably more so because it's really weird to teach a watered-down version of Kabbalah to non-Jews. That's really weird. From the
perspective of the Masorah,
that is really out there.
I have a big problem with that when they're not teaching Torah and mitzvahs, because you're wrong on that. They don't teach Torah and mitzvahs, they teach Kabbalah.
I didn't say... When did I say they teach Torah and mitzvahs?
You said that they believe that in all...
I said that the leaders of the Kabbalah Center, they're hardcore observant, and they believe in Torah and mitzvahs, and they practice Torah and mitzvahs, but they don't teach mitzvahs to non-Jews. They teach a watered-down version of Kabbalah to non-Jews.
Right, exactly.
And they don't try to make them Jewish. They don't try to make them observant Jews. There are two layers of the Kabbalah Center. There's the observant, Orthodox, that's the word I use that you wouldn't use, burning core of the Kabbalah Center, and then there's everyone else who gets like the watered down version of Kabbalah.
Okay. So getting back to my thing. Mm-hmm. So the Jews are like mosquitoes. Okay? Conservative, reform, forget the Kabbalah Center, I don't know. Okay? But whatever it is, Reconstructionist, you agree that's a non-kosher derech?
From the perspective of the Masorah, the Jewish
tradition. Whatever. Many people would say Chabad. They are like a bug. You know those little zappers that people put up? They're like
they kill bugs.
They kill bugs. And it's electronic, and they illuminate a little bit, and the thing goes in there, and they get zapped, right? Mm-hmm. Because the thing was, it got tricked. It thought this was the light, so it was going to go up to the light, right? But it got zapped instead, and it got killed. So the fact that it ended up in the door of the Reform or the Conservative leads me to believe that if the Reform or the Conservative weren't there, they might end up with the Torah eventually. You're saying they're not going to get there.
I said most of them wouldn't.
But I'm saying
if most
we don't
have a choice
know.
between...
We
do. We
don't
do
know.
know that as long as Jews have had a choice, most of them have chosen not to be traditional Jews. Since the walls of the ghetto broke down 200 years ago.
Okay, but I'm saying is, if there's a yes or no choice, 100, it's black and white.
Well, Israel.
Hang on. If it's a black and white choice...
Israel.
Can I please talk and not be interrupted? If there's a black and white choice, with Torah, authentic Torah on one side, and nothing on the other, I say this is a better situation for Jews because the few or however many make it to the other side eventually, at least they got to Torah. But when we stick some, gray matter in between and we say, oh, we're kosher style, what you're doing is you're intercepting these people and you're giving them something that's not Judaism. You're giving them a watered-down version of Torah, and you're saying, oh, do whatever you want, it's all good, whatever you do, we can find a way to call that okay. And what they do is they just pervert Judaism to turn it into something that it isn't, to be more palatable for these people. Now, what are you saying about Israel?
That's the situation in Israel. There's virtually no reform or conservative in Israel.
It used to be that way, but it's changing.
It's very tiny, insignificant. Most places in Israel, there's no reform or conservative synagogue.
And that's the way it should be.
Okay, so that's a choice where...
It should be that the reform and conservative should be removed from the globe. And the only thing that should be is Judaism and nothing. And then a person makes their choice what they want to be. All right. There was a question from Justin. He says, I have a question. Why were those conservative rabbinical students bemoaning Jews pursuing traditional Judaism rather than their movement? Okay, check this out. Justin brought this to my attention yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
A group of Jews who were studying to be conservative heretical leaders bemoaned the fact that so many Jews pursue Torah rather than their own heretical nonsense.
Yeah, of course.
Everybody
wants people to be like them. Right. So if you're a reformer conservative, you want other people to be reformer conservative.
And they bemoan the fact that people actually want to do Torah.
Of course.
It's like, so I said to Justin, we should all sit Shiva for those Jews who are actually trying to atone for their sins and return to their heritage. Now let's get back to our normal nonsense, talking about marrying sluts.
Portion is Emor, Leviticus chapter 21 through chapter 24. So, do you have any expectations when you find out someone's a Kohen?
What do you mean?
Do you have any expectations? Do you think they're going to be on a higher level?
Well, there's a couple of things I think about right away, because there's a couple of halachic ramifications that concern me.
Mm-hmm.
I can't ask a Kohen for a ride.
Why?
Because there's a problem with that.
Mm-hmm.
I can't ask him to do favors, or she to do favors, or it's he, actually. I can't ask a Kohen, a guy, to do favors for me.
Why?
Because
you ask everyone else. Sorry.
I can accept when they offer me to do favors.
Mm-hmm.
But I can't ask him, hey, Gary Cohen, right, or whatever the guy's name is, right? I say, hey, can you drive me to, because you're just not supposed to ask.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah, you're not supposed to ask them to serve you, right? They're not. It's just like a weird halacha. What?
Yeah.
there's like certain things I can't do with you because you're a ger.
Like what?
Well, I can't. Like I got to be careful not to embarrass you and stuff like that.
Anything else aside from being nice to me?
I can't identify the fact that you're a ger, except that we
except for I give you a header.
Right. Well, it's the same thing. The Cohen could give me a header, like if we were friends. And he would say, I don't have a problem, whatever. You don't have to worry about that. So then we'll go, hey, dude, can, drive me to whatever. I wouldn't care. But you can't just go straight up to a Cohen
and say, yeah, can I get a ride?
Can you get a ride? They can't.
Can I borrow money?
Yeah, you're not supposed to have them serve you.
Is it true that a Kohen's not allowed to skip rope or floss their teeth?
Huh?
Okay, I got sucked in by the liquid rope. I'm sorry.
So that's one thing, and then there's like, I don't like when Cohens like to flaunt their shit. It's like they'll say like, oh, look at, whoa, I'm a Cohen. I get the first aliyah.
Right.
I get to bench because I'm a Cohen. I'm the one who gets the bench, and but there's a way to overcome that.
Yeah. Ask them to leave.
If you have a Talmud Chacham, he goes before a Cohen. Why?
Being called to the Torah?
No. For benching. Why? Why is that? Why?
I don't know.
Because Keser Torah is Gadol me Keser Kahuna.
So say that in English.
The crown of Torah
is greater than the crown of being a Kohen.
Exactly. Right. So we learned that in Pirkei Avos. So yeah, that you can get around it that way. But for calling the Leahs to the Torah, no, the guy's always got the thing, So that's my own opinion. Otherwise, I don't have a thing on it. I tell you, 95% of the time that I hear these problems that they can't find a wife, it's because they think they need to marry a virgin. And I hear that all the time. I'm always like,
an ignorant person thinks that.
Really?
Well, yeah, by definition.
But you nailed it. You knew more than that. You knew that.
Well, when it comes to sex, I know.
Oh, you know all the sex halachas? Because some people don't know this. They think like as long as they don't marry, divorce it, but they don't know that if she had sex with a non-Jew, it's over with. I don't think that, for that reason, I have to look it up, but I don't think a Cohen can marry a Geras. Because we assume that she had sex before.
Correct.
When she was a non-Jew.
Yeah, Judaism assumes that a female convert to Judaism has had sex.
That's right.
Even if she converts at 15. So we have,
We assumed you had sex, and then we had your videos to prove it, to back it up. Let me ask you this: in your own house.
Yeah.
Oh, this is your own house, whatever. Did you ever whip out the video while you were doing it with some woman?
Never.
Okay.
I was appalled by. First of all, I'm not having sex in the video. I mean, there's.
Yeah, I'm not even. Forget that. I'm just asking, in general, when you were having sex, did you ever pull out the video? Because it seems like everyone's got their sex tape, and they always leak out to the public. And I'm always like, why do people all film themselves?
Yeah, I didn't have a sex tape, and I wouldn't leak it out to the public if I did. So, for me, that is something that's sacred.
Right.
And it's not for public consumption. It's not for entertainment. It's not for notoriety. For me, that's special.
All right, good enough.
Rabbi Beryl Wine writes that in this week's Torah portion, it lays down many rules and actions of behavior of the Kohanim, the priests, regarding their own personal lives. Apparently, nowhere does the Torah deal with public policy issues and the national direction in which the priests are to lead the people of Israel. So the priests are not to focus necessarily on these public policy issues, but more to focus on the details of a person's religious life. That is why throughout the Hebrew Bible we find the leaders of Israel are judged not so much by their public personae, by their policy decisions, or by their wars or their victories, but by their private behavior and their relationships with other people and how they treat people. Well, that was interesting. King David is he won a lot of battles, but kind of the focus of the Bible is on the way he related to people. wasn't on these broad.
Well, we have to understand that the Scripture always treats Tzaddikim as if they're Rishoyim, and it treats Rishoyim as if they're Tzaddikim.
So, can you speak in English?
Okay. Our greatest, how do you say tzaddik? Our most righteous Jews in the history of Jews are depicted by Scripture out in ways that you would think, oh, these people were no good. Look at King David. He was an adulterer or whatever the hell, and he banged a young woman who was married to somebody else, and he killed a man, and he took it for personal gain, and all
just carry on.
All these things, and that's how the Torah makes these people out to appear. But the intelligent reader knows that there's something wrong here. That what Scripture is telling us is obviously fallacious. And it says in the Talmud, in Talmud tractate Shabbos, that anyone who thinks that David HaMelech sinned is wrong. That's what the Talmud says. Anyone who thinks that David HaMelech, that King David, ever sinned is wrong. It's simple. And anyone who comes and tells you that he sinned, that he had sex with a married woman, he killed somebody with his own personal gain, and he did whatever, just ignore them. Because this is a person who only learns Scripture. Torah, Judaism, is not a biblical religion. Judaism is not a biblical religion. Judaism follows the Talmud. The Talmud is what we follow. We don't care what Scripture says. We follow the...
We care what Scripture says.
No, we don't. We're not a biblical religion.
What, we don't care? It's nothing?
Scripture on its own, without the oral Torah behind it, the Belzer Rebbe says that's the fastest way to lead to apicorsis.
It's not that we don't care. The Talmud's constantly quoting Scripture.
The Scripture we don't need, because everything in it that's interesting to us we can find in the Talmud. And the Talmud explains what is going on in those days with our tzaddikim. David HaMelech, no problem. The guy who he sent out, you know the story?
You've gone over that.
Have I?
Yeah.
What's the guy's name? Uriah Heep.
Yeah.
Uriah. Uriah, he was Chayv Misa because Uriah was involved in a rebellion.
You gave the story over to Adolfo.
I already did?
Yeah.
Okay, so I won't do it again. So look it up. It's in our archives, and of course, you don't archive it in a way that anyone could ever find anything.
Just look for Robson Adolfo on YouTube.
Oh, there you go. Okay, there it is. I spoke to him about that.
Mm-hmm.
You have a good memory.
Mm-hmm.
That was like a year ago.
So we're not going to get into any details here. We're not going to specify who, but you know that children can hear us as we're giving this over.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Was that mentioned to you?
No, it wasn't mentioned to me, but I just have a very sensitive conscience, and so I just wanted to bring that out and share that. So maybe I'll even tone down myself a little bit.
Oh, okay. What did we say before that? I forgot.
Sex tape.
Oh, shit. Sorry. So maybe let's do the shows at my place.
Yeah.
Because then we don't have to, worry about censorship.
Yeah. So Rabbi Bill Wine writes, Kohanim, the Jewish priests, Kohens, held in high regard in the Jewish world and are entitled to certain special privileges and honors in Jewish religious society. I mean, no one I know holds Kohanim in high regard. I mean, we give them certain ritual honors, but just because someone's a Kohen...
Well, let's think about it. Not only do they get
high regard.
Think about it. Every time you bench, they get to be the ones who bench.
Yeah.
Right? You can't ask them to do favors. Right? I know there's other things too.
But are they held in high regard?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. The idea of egalitarianism and everybody's created equal and all this bullshit doesn't apply in Judaism. Kohens are definitely special. We should kiss their ass a little bit and all that.
Okay.
I just resent the ones
never occurred to me
flaunt that in your face. Look at me, I'm a Kohen, I'm special. Yeah, go fuck yourself.
Rabbi Berelwein writes, not every person who claims to be a Kohen is really a Kohen.
That's
Since
true.
true pedigree is very difficult to ascertain today, the halacha, Jewish law, adopts a position that who is really a Kohen, a Jewish priest, is a matter of doubt. Therefore, great rabbinic decisors, especially in the United States, have often, in cases of dire circumstances, annulled the kahuna of an individual. I wonder how much does it cost to get your kahuna annulled?
I once tried to get my whole being Jewish annulled.
Yeah.
Did I tell you about that?
I'm not sure.
I looked into it.
Uh-huh.
I looked into it. Is there any way that I could possibly convert back to being a goy, let's say?
Right,
Could I become a goy somehow?
Right.
And then I wouldn't have to keep the Torah. Then I could go live with some shiksas or whatever, you know. And I looked into it, and my rabbi said that there is way too much chazaka in my case.
What does that mean?
There are too much evidence in my case that says that I'm Jewish to turn it around.
Yeah.
And just to add the icing on the cake.
Yeah.
My mom put together on her own, I didn't ask for it, this history of her side of the family. It's like this 10-page booklet. And she mailed it to me. And it's got like...
Did she know that you were thinking of becoming a guy?
It wasn't real helpful, Mom.
Did she know that you were
No,
thinking...
she was just like, had this... She was like doing finding her family, tracing her lineage.
Like
and
Mormons do.
And it went back like 6 or 7 generations, and it was like the story of her family in Poland and everything.
Right.
And it's like her mother's mom. And it's like documented that there's all these Jews there, And I'm like, well, there goes that, Mom. That's a chazaka. A chazaka is that you brought proof that you're, you know what I mean? Everybody's got like a chizkas kashrus. Everybody's got like, we assume that you're kosher. We give you the benefit of the doubt.
Right.
Okay? But when you brought evidence, that strengthens that chazaka. So there's too much on my side to prove I'm a Jew. And plus, like, I got my sister's kasuba, and it's just,
I'm constantly thinking about Jew, non-Jew, Goy, Jew, like distinctions, differences, separations. It's like constantly how I'm thinking and how I'm talking, and he's a Goy, he's a Jew. Do you think about that, or are you just like, we're all human beings, made in the image of God?
Wait.
I'm constantly thinking, that's Goyisher, that's a Goy, he's a Yid. At work I know who are the Jews, who are the Goyim. I treat Jews and non-Jews differently.
Okay.
Like, a Jew to me is much more sacred. Like, I have so many more obligations to that person. I want to be much more careful about that relationship. There may be hundreds of non-Jews who I prefer to that Jew, but I'm still, like, I have all sorts of obligations and ties and complications or things so that I will sometimes... I remember once I went to a dinner party and the host introduced me to her non-Jewish friend. And so, like, I bantered around with this non-Jewish friend, then I went home and blogged about it. I didn't mention the person's name, I didn't identify the person, but I blogged about the interaction. I would not have done that if she'd been Jewish. But it didn't really bother me if she would, she ended up reading the blog post, took great offense to it. And it didn't really bother me because she wasn't Jewish. I wasn't connected to her in that way.
So you were just like, in your mind, was like, stupid goy.
Not stupid, but I just didn't have
like,
the same obligations.
You're a goy, you're drag, get out of my life. I don't
Nothing
care.
like that, nothing negative, but I'm just
Your opinion to me doesn't matter, because I'm a Jew and better than you.
No, nothing about being better.
Do you believe that you're better, you feel better and than, because Jews are like, 0.000%?
0.2. 0.2 of the world's population.
Right, like this little tiny percentage of the world, and you're like look down at the top of the mountain at the 99.8% of the rest of the population. Like, you're so much better than that. Does that make your dick get real hard?
First of all, there are little children. Potty mouth rabbi. Like, here I am, I'm constantly trying to elevate, I'm trying to make Jews look good, I'm trying to build bridges to the non-Jews. This is like the Luke Ford Diversity Hour. Like, Jews, non-Jews, all are welcome, all are precious in His sight. You know, God bless the little children of the world, red and yellow, black and white, Goy and Jew, all are precious in God's sight. You know, we're all one with God. And the rabbi with his potty mouth and his like negative aspersions about the Goyim.
No, I have no problem with Goyim. I'm asking,
do I think Jews are superior?
Do you feel superior?
Do I feel superior because I became Jewish?
You know what? Because I think with your ego and everything, I think that you love you wanted to be a Jew, and because part of it is you get to look down at everybody else. You get to look down. Look at me. I'm Luke Ford. I even got my own name now. They call me Levi. I'm on the inside. It's like a gang name. It's like, you know, you went from like Walter, you know, whatever.
Luke Ford.
If you went from like Luke Ford to like I'm Levi, you might as well be called like, you know, I'm Skipper. You know, like you got some cool nickname because like you're in. Like you need a tattoo, like you're one of the bros.
I got my Orthodox conversion. It's not easy to get.
You got your Orthodox conversion, you know.
Yeah.
It's like you're like part of the.
Yeah.
You're like part of the
elite.
team. You're like on the elite squad. You know, like
exactly.
Look at me. I'm looking down at you, bitch. You're a goy at work. I'm looking down at you.
Shiksa.
Shigas. Yeah.
Get your goy hands off my kosher salami.
Yeah, you'll never. I'm like the Prince of England. Was it the Prince of England?
I'm one of the chosen ones.
Can
you carry my bags?
I don't date commoners. Okay, you've got to be royalty. Okay, and if you're royalty, you lose your royalty. Like because you like a Cohen, he loses. I don't forget it. I don't know if that analogy is going to work.
I tell you what, though, I lost almost all my non-Jewish friends. Like when I converted, it was such like a radical shift that most of them became like very suspicious and wanted nothing to do with me.
That's probably also because you treated them like
you treated them like that.
Yeah, stupid Goy.
Do you think like he's a Jew? Like I've got different obligations.
Obligations?
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you the truth. You know, you hit on something that I do relate to. Because I've talked about this a lot. Like, people say, like, you know, I hate the state of Israel. I hate that country. Right? But I would vote, let's say, for Newt Gingrich because he's so pro-Israel. So some people get very confused by that.
Right.
Doesn't that seem like a contradiction?
Yeah.
And the answer is no, it's not a contradiction for me because I'm a Jew, and I'm required to care about Jews everywhere.
Yeah.
There are 6 million Jews living in the state of Israel.
Yeah.
Right? So, like, almost half of the world's population of Jews lives there. The other half, like, lives here. Right? I have to care about what goes on with these people. Right? I have an obligation, as you call it. I'm obligated to them just because they're Jews. So I have an obligation to Jews. I don't have an obligation to Portugal or to Spain or to Madagascar. I don't have an obligation to these countries, but I have an obligation to the Jews in the state of Israel because there's so many Jews there. So I care about that country, right? I care about them despite the country that they're in. So if someone is looking out for the safety of the Jews globally, you know, here in America and in Israel, then I say it behooves every Jew to vote for them and support that person. That's why I say you should support someone like Newt Gingrich, because he supports the Jews here in America and in Israel. So that's like 95% of the Jews. He represents us as a unit. So in terms of that, like, Jews are always like a unit.
Right.
You have to look at, like, we are a unit of people, like, all over the place. Right?
Right. But if you had to give someone a ride...
No.
You wouldn't give preference to a Jew?
No.
Get someone a job, lend money. If you were going to do any of these good deeds, I would give preference in all of them.
No, I thought you were going to set it up like that. I'm driving down the street.
No, I'm not going to pick up every...
No, there's a guy on the side of the street. I'm not picking you up. No, I would pick them up. I have friends who are goyim. I don't
I would. I have friends who are goyim too, and I help them out. But I'd certainly give priority to Jews.
Well, let's put it this way: if I had $1 to give tzedakah,
Yeah.
If I had $1 to give,
Yeah, $1. If I
My
had $1 to
requirement-
give, I would give it to a Jew.
I would too because I fulfill the mitzvah.
Right.
The mitzvah is to give money.
If I only had an hour to volunteer,
right.
I would volunteer for a Jewish cause.
Right, of course.
If I only had $1,000 to give tzedakah, I would give $1,000 to a Jewish cause.
Right, because you don't get credit for giving tzedakah to save the goyim.
Right.
That doesn't count.
If I had to go to a rally for Tibet or a rally for a Jewish cause, I'd go to a rally if I believed in not all Jewish causes would go to. There are plenty of Jewish causes.
Against
I would
the
have
internet.
nothing to do
Against
with
the internet.
Right. But I think that's being simplified. I think they want to talk about what a threat it is, and
you can speak from experience. You should be speaking at that one because you know the dangers of the internet and how morally debased it can be.
Exactly.
How you just.
I don't have a problem with a rally against the internet or a rally against TV. Or I understand if you want to be really religious and really Torah observant, that maybe limiting access to the internet is a good thing. It's not for everyone. It's not for every Torah Jew, but
Here, you know how I look at the internet?
Yeah.
I'm gonna look at it. I look at it really simple.
mm-hmm.
The internet is a highway. It's the what do they call it? The information superhighway.
Mm-hmm.
It's a highway. It's a highway that leads down, takes you anywhere. It can take you to Borough Park. It can take you to Yerushalayim, to Mea Shearim, or it can take you to Las Vegas, to a strip club.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? It can take you wherever you want to go. Okay? Don't shut down the highway because some people ended up going to Las Vegas.
But wouldn't it be the right thing for some people not to ever set foot on that highway? Because they are going to.
Yes. They should not be going.
They should not go on the information highway.
But don't shut it down for everyone because some of us are using it to get to our jobs. Some of us are using that highway to get to the shul, to the base of Midrash, to the kosel. This is a
But for a
highway.
significant portion, it would take them away from Torah.
Right, but you're throwing out the baby with the bathwater. You're cutting off your nose to spite your face. Very simple. Very simple. I have personal. We both do. Your parnasa comes from the internet.
Yeah.
The fact that there's an internet there
Yeah.
puts money in your pocket.
Yeah.
Am I right?
Yeah.
The fact
But
that
I've also used that internet for a lot of really unholy things.
I don't want to hear about it. I can't. Don't go into detail. We have a kid in the next room. Okay, but I'm saying is, right, I've gotten a lot of money because of the internet. And I can even tell you this. I can tell you this. And the Godolim would back me up on this. Knowing my situation, a good job for me, right, would be telecommuting.
Mm-hmm.
Over the internet.
Yeah.
Over the internet.
Yeah.
And to find those jobs would be through the internet, and working those jobs would be on the internet, correct?
Yeah.
So to unplug me would be self-defeating, right? It's there as a tool. It would be tantamount to taking a guy who's on a breathing machine. What do they call those things?
Well, that's a little extreme.
But it's his connection.
He's going to die.
He's going to die. So you're taking off my lifeblood, right? You're taking off Levi's lifeblood because he gets money every time that.
But do you have a problem with this rally? Like I don't.
Yeah, I have a problem.
You think it's bad?
You think
it's wrong? Stupid?
I think it's stupid. I think that the internet is not the problem. I think shutting down the highway is not that's not helpful. That's not gonna. You create a. I believe that when you do something, it should be clear and black and white. You know what I mean? It should be like, we have a problem, let's zap the problem. But when you've identified something it's not just a problem, but there's a lot of good in it, and you're not seeing the good, or you're not aware of the good, and you zap it, you fixed your problem, but you also killed a bunch of people. Right? It's like an atom bomb. There's a lot of collateral fallout, a lot of collateral damage, things that you may not want to happen. That cloud may come back and bite you in the butt. You know, there's a fallout cloud from an atom bomb.
Yeah.
Well, do you ever think of where is that going to go?
Yeah.
Right. So you can hurt yourself You can shoot yourself in the foot if you do things, if you attack more than just the problem. So I have a problem with this because a lot of good comes from the internet. You know? Look at the woman I'm dating now. Right? You've met her.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know that I would not know her? I would never have known her if not for the internet. Did you know that you and me would not even have met? Of course, we wouldn't have the show because the show wouldn't exist because there'd be no internet. But we wouldn't have even met because we were introduced by somebody.
Yeah, even though we lived, half a mile from each other.
That's
14 years.
That's going to be 14 light years because I don't go next door. I don't leave my house. But the guy who set us up, he and I found each other through the internet.
Yeah.
So without the internet, I don't know you. I would never have known you.
Yeah.
I would have walked by you that day at Ralph's. I would have saw you, and I would have not stopped you because I wouldn't know who you were. Okay? So the internet is how I found the woman I'm with. She would not be in my life. You would not be in my life. Right? I'd be home right now watching the game. All right, go ahead. Oh, this is a long show. Okay, go ahead.
So, I heard that the Australian penny weighs as much as the American dime.
Okay.
And that people used to be after, when they would make long-distance phone calls from public telephones, they used to, get their friends from Australia, to bring them lots of pennies.
Slugs.
Yeah.
They're like slugs.
Yeah.
Okay.
So how do you feel about that?
It's called ripping off the phone company.
And is that okay?
It's a crime. It's a federal offense.
But is it Jewishly okay?
No, it's a federal offense. We follow, what's it called? I can't even think right
Dina
now.
Malchusha Dina,
Thank
the law
you.
of the land is law to the Jew.
Good.
What can we do on Torah Talk to stimulate an ethical revival in Hasidic life so that the Hasidic rabbis start cracking down on these scams of non-Jews and say, hey, to steal from a non-Jew is about as bad as stealing from a Jew. And it's wrong, and you shouldn't do it.
Who says they don't do that? Yeah, Rabbi Miller, I told you this when you came to my house a couple weeks ago. Have you come to my house since? Did you come to Shabbos?
No.
You did not come?
No.
Well, I think it was Justin that came because I was taking a nap Shabbos afternoon.
Uh-huh.
I was sleeping, and I heard someone pound really loud on the door. I thought, okay, that must be Luke because I told him to pound loud, right? And I just couldn't get out of bed in time to get over there.
Yeah.
Because somebody, because I thought it was you, but it must have been Justin because you're the only two guys that ever knocked. Okay, so he didn't tell me that by the way. Okay, so I told you this that Rabbi Miller was asked why don't rabbis talk about this stuff?
Mm-hmm.
And Rabbi Miller said because it's assumed that you already know that. Because whenever you have little kids and they start off yeshiva, right?
Mm-hmm.
What are the first mesechtas that they always learn? It's always Baba Kama, Baba Metzia. They learn the Babas. And the Babas teach you that, you have to respect for other people's properties. So you don't need some rabbi at the pulpit or whatever, or to spend time talking about, you need to be respectful of other people's property because we figure you already know that. Let's focus on the other 99% of the things that there are to learn, right? And not just review the same thing. But apparently, unfortunately, what was taught at the earliest ages doesn't stick with some Jews, unfortunately.
And also, I find for myself that once I've violated a particular halacha enough,
then you consider it like a mitzvah to do it.
Then it doesn't bother me as much.
Okay,
the first few times I break it, it's like
you look for the lightning bolt. It's not there.
Yeah, it's like
where's the lightning?
What do I do? But after I've
how does it feel to break Shabbos, Luke?
After I've broken it a bunch of times, it's like no big deal.
Yeah.
And I can hear sermons about it and all that, and I go, yeah, that's the ideal, but I don't live up to it. And it doesn't bother me anymore. It's like
so what are you doing now?
Well, like writing Lashon Hara. That prospect used to really bother me and frighten me, and then I did it so much that I became desensitized.
Well, that's what it says. It says the Gemara says that if you that's exactly what it says. It says that if you do an averas if you do sins enough times, you become desensitized, and then it just becomes easier to do it. You don't have any guilt anymore.
Yeah, I don't have any guilt anymore. Gone. And there are like other areas too where
and then you start poking your feet. It's like, yeah, but first you start.
And I feel no guilt. Yeah. There are various sins I do, and I feel virtually no guilt.
Okay. If you're wearing a business suit, right, and you go down to the beach, and you say, "We'll not go in the water because I'm wearing a business suit," right? Yeah. And so you take your shoes off, take your socks off, and you put your toes in the water, right? And you're not freezing. You're like, if you don't pick up and leave, I guarantee you, this same guy, you give him enough time, he's going to end up naked in that water swimming around. Yeah. That's just the way it works, right? And it's the same thing. If you start putting your toes in the water and you are comfortable with it, all your garments are going to come off. And you're going to be running naked with shiksas and banging them on Friday nights in the backseat of a car eating a cheeseburger.
I remember
it's just how it works.
When I was kicked out of Torah, like there were some people who talked about, Luke's writing on the porn industry. Many people thought, yeah, it's bad or it's not so bad. Then like an article came out in the LA Times about me. And like the same day that this article came out, like right up top of my website, I posted all these photos of me skinny dipping with these couple of porn stars. Like when I went,
you do the dumbest stuff.
Like when I had gone to the valley that day, it was like a sunshiny day, and there was girls there at this house. I was gone to report, and then they said, "Hey, let's go swimming in the pool." And I said, "Yeah, let's go swimming." And then they said, "Let's go skinny dipping." And I said, "Okay, let's go skinny dipping." And they said, "Let's take pictures." And I said, "Oh, okay." Don't show any. I didn't show anything.
You're the guy who won't show. You won't.
I won't do full frontal.
You won't film yourself with Kevin Sachs.
Right. Right, and I didn't show anything.
No problem.
But I posted all these pictures of me skinny dip. Look, like I had all the essentials covered. And so then the LA Times article comes out, so then all these people from Torah log onto my site, see what I'm really up to. And then there are all these photos of me like a or like a side shot. So like I'd cover the package. But,
listen, folks,
and there are these topless.
You got to understand this guy. You got to understand this guy. He comes up to me, and he tells me that Dennis Prager has a book coming out, and because of that, people are going to go to the internet. And they're going to bang on Dennis Prager, and they're going to find
my writings on it. Yeah,
Luke's Ford, and they're going to end up on his blog. And I said, Luke, don't be a dumbass. Take advantage of this and monetize it. Put on the top of your blog, no matter what page they land on, they get on the masthead at the top. It'll have, this is what I
teach Alexander.
I teach Alexander technique. This is me working on a guy, whatever picture, and have a video of that. I'm in the Torah talks on Monday nights. Watch the show there. Right. This is my PayPal. Hit me up for some money here. Right. Boom. I'm Luke Ford, and I'm God or something like that. And have people hit. Right?
That's an idolatry.
Whatever. But the point is, there should be something. Luke goes, yeah,
it's really saying I run the universe.
Whatever. Just so that people know who you are, and they give money, and blah, 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 and they watch your stuff, you're Alexander, and whatever, right? So he goes, yeah, that's a really good idea. That was 2 weeks ago. I've checked your blog every day since then.
Yeah, I've done nothing.
You've done nothing, right?
But at least I haven't posted any pictures of myself skinny dipping.
Well, that's what I'm going to say, right? Everybody hits his blog. What do they see? They see skinny dipping. But can I get the guy to just put up an advertisement to help himself? No. That he can't do. But if he has himself in a pool with a bunch of shiksas, naked...
Well, I didn't realize that was the day the LA Times article was going to come out, and then that everyone from Torah would be coming onto my website.
And he's sitting there going, I got 1 million hits today. I wonder why.
Oh, I forgot that the Torah people would be logging on. And there I am, skinny dipping with porn stars, and I felt...
Porn stars with AIDS. Really smart thinking, Luke.
They didn't have AIDS.
The story was about them with AIDS.
Not this particular story. And not these porn stars. This was Kendra Jade and Shelley. They were very clean.
Because you tested them.
Because it's so easy. Imagine you're going there to write a story, an interview, and it's a warm, sunny day in the valley. And they're taking off their clothes and they're swimming in the pool. And they say, hey, come on in, look. I'm going to say, oh, no, I'm a reporter. I can't, my journalistic ethics don't allow that. Well, then, so, you dive in, and then they say, let's take some pictures. It's like, I'm going to say, no pictures. It's like, one sin leads to another.
And who has these pictures today?
I think they're probably still up there,
Yeah, because, did you ever watch the show Lilyhammer?
Yes.
You have seen it?
Yes.
Okay. Lilyhammer, which is on Netflix. If you have Netflix streaming, you can watch Lilyhammer. It's a really good show. There's a character in there who took a whole bunch of photos naked with a bunch of chicks.
Yeah.
And those photos come back to haunt his ass.
Yeah. I'm just seeing if these photos come up when I...
You do is this... What did you just Google?
I just put in the names of the girls and my own name to see if these photos come up. And
there's a lot of nakedness on.
Just don't look. I'm checking to see if these particular...
There's kids in there.
photos come up. And... why is it when I put my name into Google, all these naked women come up like it's a Shonda?
I bet you if you put my name in there, not one naked woman will show up.
Okay, there I am with Kendra Jade.
And you're fully clothed.
At Pornstar Karaoke.
I'm proud of you.
Kendra Jade. She was one of the ones that I got with. So Kendra Jade, yeah. She was a smart girl, read a lot of books. She liked to read books on serial killers. We had like a special connection. That's Kendra with her husband. And, well, none of the photos of me at the pool come up. And there's Kendra's body of work. Wait, and but you shouldn't look at this, folks. Sin. Okay, now let's put in Rabbi Raps.
You know what? I'm going to go to that internet. I'm going to go to that rally against the internet.
Well,
there is one naked picture. There's a picture of Luke. There's a picture of Luke on my...
You put in Rabbi Raps and all these pictures of me coming out.
Naked pictures of Luke.
I'm not naked. There are no naked pictures of me online. But at least there are no naked pictures of women.
What did you put in there? Just Rabbi Rabs?
Just Rabbi Rabs.
And these
so that's a real zuchut. That's a real merit. That when
because like the Lubavitcher Rebbe comes up.
The Lubavitcher Rebbe comes up. But at least there are no naked pictures.
Yeah.
But if you just put in my name...
you put them together.
If you just put in my name...
No. Put them...
If you just put in my name, no naked pictures come up.
Hey, but I'm in the first picture with you.
Yeah. So, see,
there are no naked
There's
women. A naked boy there.
Yeah, but there are no naked women come. See, like the first 100 pictures of me, there are no naked women. The first 150 pictures of me, there are no naked women.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, so folks, you can put in my name, and there are no naked women
kosher.
that come up.
It's kosher. It's kosher. I helped really kosherize it for you because first one up, you're with me.
Yeah, so I'm proud of that. Okay, so
I told you this on your blog this last week.
Mm-hmm.
5 years ago, I kid you not, 5 years ago,
put in Rabbi.
You just go to that Google Images and just write Rabbi.
Yeah.
And I came up first.
Yeah.
Picture of me was first. Today, you put in Rabbi, I don't think that I'm like in the first 10 or 15 pages. I mean, you're not going to find me.
Do you feel like God called you to be a rabbi?
He did. He called me Colette, too. No. What do you mean?
Well, many Christian ministers and priests feel like God.
They have the calling.
Yeah.
We don't have that concept in Judaism. No, I got a call from the OU. If the OU is God, then the answer is yes.
Whoops, I misquoted Rabbi Wine. Oh boy, that's terrible. Oh, that's really bad. I put Rabbi Beryl Wine writes, then I've often felt like God was going to strike me dead after I stepped into a shul after engaging in unholy behavior.
You know, when I was reading that...
I'm sorry, Rabbi Beryl Wine.
I noticed that there was no quotation marks on it.
So. That's a real sin. Wow. I misquoted.
When I read it today, getting ready to come over here, I realized that was a typo because there was no quotation marks around it.
Yeah.
All you did was accidentally write his name.
Yeah.
Without his name there, it's fine.
Okay, but no, I've often felt like stepping into shore, like, if I was at a porn set the day before, or I was skinny dipping with porn stars, and then like the next morning I'm back in shore. Yeah, I felt kind of just, it was like a disconnect. I felt kind of weird.
The beauty is that you're in a pool, so if you were naked, you go underneath, you take your mikveh, and you cleanse yourself from the impurity of what you just did. But
I still felt weird when I stepped back in the shore.
Right.
But when I really feel weird is when I step into a church. Then I feel really weird, like particularly if I've been sinning. Because church is a much more otherworldly and spiritual experience than stepping into a shore. Like stepping into a shore is a lot like stepping in a Ralph's. I mean, there isn't like this big spiritual experience when you step into a shore. It's usually totally ordinary. There's no like great artwork, or there's not like spiritual music playing. There's no like immediate spiritual high or like awesome display. It's just like stepping into.
Are you describing a Catholic church?
Catholic church, Protestant church.
Because I thought Protestant churches were.
They don't have as much iconography, but it's still much more otherworldly than a shule.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought they were on par with a shul.
No.
Really?
No, even the plainest
like
Protestant church.
Like Presbyterian. Basic.
Yeah, it's much more otherworldly experience.
Really?
Yeah, because the whole focus of the religion is on the next life, so it carries over into that space. Like if you have a space where the focus is the next world, and even if it's totally ordinary, it's just chairs. But every time people meet there, the focus is on the next world. It's going to create a certain aura to that space. And so you step in there, and if everyone there is like, even if it's like an Indian, sweat lodge or whatever. I don't know anything about Indian sweat lodges, but if the primary focus is on the next life, and then you step in there, like space is affected by what goes on in it.
Okay, because I pictured like the more fundamental Christian, to be.
Yeah, it's much plainer than Catholic
I
Church.
figured it would be very plain, very the Bible study, because it's all about. It's not about fun and games and statues. It's about very fundamental. But you're saying it's not. What do I know? I've never been in a church. We talked about this. Luke, what is this? What
That's my profile. That is my Amazon.com profile. So Faith was asking about my Amazon.com profile. So on Amazon.com, you're allowed to create your own profile page if you're an author. And Google allows you to create your own profile page so that people can have some effect about what Google reveals about them. So,
how come I didn't do that?
Okay, so Rabbi Beryl Wine writes, the Kohanim represent the two most necessary ingredients for a decent society, the devoted public servant and the moral educator and teacher. So most of the Torah is not democratic. The more religious Jewish life, the more elitist it is, the more traditional, less likely you are to match up to some rabbi you don't know and then just start schmoozing with him. So when I bring secular Jews to shul, they often think that the Orthodox are just so eager to make converts for Orthodoxy that they will welcome their questions and challenges. Not so much. Sometimes they will, most of the time they're busy. They've got other priorities. You just can't go marching up and say, hey, but what about this? And I remember taking this big magazine writer, like the Beatles song, magazine writer, to shul. And I pointed out some, say, oh, that person over there is a great rabbi. And so my friend just marched over to him and asked a question. And the Rav just blew him off. It's like secular people don't realize that you just can't walk up to a great rabbi like you'd walk up to, some author that you wanted to talk to. Some rabbis are, you can do that, but most of the great ones you just can't walk up and
Is that why people, I hear all the time with me, and they go, Ravs, you're unbelievably approachable.
Yeah, because, most rabbis you can't.
Because other people just don't give people the time of day?
Yeah, or particularly shul rabbis, like Rabbi Muskin at Young Israel Century City, his focus is on his shul, and he's not everything else that goes on, that's not his focus. So, like many rabbis, they're really busy with their shul. So busy that when they're not busy with their shul, they just want to like leave me alone. Let me be with my family. Let me study Torah. Don't bother me. So yeah, you're unusual because you're approachable. I remember when I was trying to convert, rabbis just like pushing me away.
Well, that's because.
But even secular Jews, you try to find that and just start marching up to Orthodox rabbis or even regular rabbis, and they're not necessarily going to be very approachable.
So maybe that's what draws people to me, is because all the rabbis who they go to won't give them the time of day.
Exactly.
So then they send out about 15 different messages to different rabbis on the internet, and I'm the only one who responds.
Yeah.
What a sucker I am. Okay. Because I'm so needy for attention.
Well, you don't have a job, you don't have a wife, you don't have kids, and this is how you find meaning in life, is by corresponding with people who ask you questions. It's not a put down. That's your mission in life.
That's my mission. And that's what God called to me.
That's what God called you to do.
Thanks for pointing that out. See, I'm the person that's been called by God, and I don't even know it. And
Exactly.
it took 2 years with Luke to point it out to me.
Right. Like, you'd think I know this stuff already, but the other day I stepped out for a walk, and I saw this rabbi I know. I know this rabbi pretty well. So I kind of, like, slowed down to, like, walk in step with him. He had no interest in walking with me.
Who was it?
I'm not going to say his name, but it was like, because I'd kind of forgotten, everything I'd just been saying. It's like, oh, I know this person. I was out for a walk. He was out for a walk. Our paths were going to cross, and I kind of slowed down, and so that our paths crossed, and we could fall into step and catch up and schmooze or whatever. No interest. I got the message pretty quickly, and I went off on my own. But folks, don't think that rabbis are this cuddly, friendly, outreach, Shlomo Kolobach, hug everyone type deal. Most of the time they're not. Rabbi Rabs is unusual. Rabbi Rabs loves to hug.
I'm all about the hugs, man.
All about the hugs.
More hugs, less drugs.
Have you felt? Well, you're a rabbi, so you're at a different level. But have you tried to initiate conversations with the rabbis, and they just leave off, didn't have time for you? Does that frequently happen?
You mean here in L.A.?
No, anywhere.
Because my rabbi.
Anywhere.
I
Obviously, when you have a personal connection.
Okay.
But rabbis you don't know. Have you tried to talk to them, initiate contact, and they just like?
I tell you like this. I bump into. What about rabbis who I used to learn from at Yeshiva?
Okay.
Because
that's still then you had a connection.
Okay, I have a connection.
Yeah.
Right?
But if you have no connection,
I used to go to Eula, right?
Right.
Every time I bump into Rabbi Ten or Rabbi Sauer, they come running up to me. They want to talk to me.
But you had a connection. But rabbis that you had no connection with.
Well, because me, I'm so introverted.
Yeah,
or
you're not
whatever,
going to go
social
up to
anxiety.
them.
I don't talk to people. Period. So I'm going to say there is no interaction.
Yeah.
I have no interest, and that's fine. If you're not my rabbi, or you've never been a teacher of me before, I have no interest in you.
Yeah.
Right? And it's mutual.
Yeah.
In that case, I am the rabbi who you described.
Right.
I have no interest in you. So.
Chaim Malak asks, where in Torah do you see any romantic love between man and woman? This narishkeit nonsense is for the goyim, otherwise we would all be marrying hot shexes, which could lead to mixed dancing. But does romantic love, is that part of the Torah's approach to life?
No. Romantic, its words is in Roman. Mm-hmm. Roman is from Esau. Mm-hmm. Right? That's not a Jewish thing.
Right.
That's outside the Jews.
Right.
That's not, romance is not a Jewish zach. Yeah. We don't fall in love with people and then get married to them. We marry people and then fall in love with them. So, but his question is, where do you see that in romantic love between men and women? You can
Isaac and Rebecca.
Once they're married, then you see the true love between the two.
Yeah, and if you're scheduled to get married to someone and you find yourself falling in love with that person, you don't call it off. It's like, oh, I got romantic love for this person. It must mean it's this is boyish. No, we're not that extreme. Anything you need to share from your 12-step work this week?
What about you? Are you going back to that?
I haven't been in like 9 months, but I will since I make
chip?
more money.
Do you get a chip? If you've been Shomer Brit for 9 months, do you get a chip?
As I keep making money, then. But I'm finally up to date on all my credit card payments. Like it took me 5 weeks of work, five paychecks, putting it all into my credit cards. Now I'm finally up to date. I have to make another $300 this week to stay up to date this week. I've got $25 in my bank account, but at least I'm up to date with my payments.
So somebody's really going to have to get in an auto accident in the next week. So drive, folks, don't drive carefully when you're out there. Luke needs money.
That's terrible.
I didn't know you were the personal injury. It's like, you see, I have like a low opinion of lawyers, right?
But you have a really low opinion of personal injury lawyers. Like, this is your last chance to ask questions. You must be so excited about the Los Angeles Kings. I mean, you've been cavelling about the hockey team on your...
Oh, my God. This is the year. I got to tell you, I've been a fan of the Kings.
Mm-hmm.
This is the 44th year of me being a fan of this team.
Mm-hmm.
And they've never won the Stanley Cup.
Mm-hmm.
44 years.
Even when they had Wayne Gretzky.
Even when they had Wayne Gretzky.
They had him for like 6 years.
And they didn't do Dick.
Exactly.
And 44 years, lady. Can you imagine that?
Yeah.
It's like your entire life, right?
Yeah.
44 years we didn't have a Stanley Cup. And this year, I'm going to tell you right now, folks, the Kings are the favorites. They're the balls-on favorites right now to win this damn thing.
Did they win this last series 4 straight?
4 straight. Okay? So this is the year that they can actually win this thing. And here's my attitude on this. Here's my feeling.
Mm-hmm.
Knowing the Kings and their history, I have very little confidence that they would ever win it again if they don't win it this year. It's not going to be like they're going to put together a dynasty.
Right.
This is a once-in-a-lifetime fluke, right?
Right.
This is it. They have 8 more games to win. They'll get the damn cup. We'll have it here. I can die. Because I can't wait another 44 years. I'm not going to have them. Right? This is it. This is the year they're going to do it. If they're ever going to do it, it's going to be this year. And it's very, very exciting because this is what I've wanted to have since I was a little kid.
Are they in the finals? Or are they in the semi-finals?
Conference finals.
They're coming up to the conference finals. And then if they win that, they're in the Stanley Cup.
Then they're in the Stanley Cup finals.
So, like Dennis Prager is talking about how moved he was. He spent the first 2 minutes of today's radio show talking about how excited he was about the LA Kings, and he doesn't understand why because he's not a sports fan. Hockey is his favorite sport. No, he's from New York. And he doesn't understand why he's so excited about the Los Angeles Kings, but he is. Hockey is his favorite sport.
It's also because everyone loves the underdog.
Yeah.
Everyone loves the ugly kid that was stepped on his whole life. Because it's not just that the Kings never won a cup. They've only been to the finals, only been to the Cup finals once in those 40 years. They've only been to the conference finals twice.
And they've never been in the Stanley Cup.
They've been to the Stanley Cup finals once.
Oh, and they lost.
They lost in '93. Okay. They've been to the conference finals, obviously '93.
Twice.
And the very first year of their existence. And that's it. That's it. They've had so many years that didn't make the playoffs or got booted out the first round. They're a perennial loser. They're like one of the worst pro sports franchises. I'm not ashamed to admit it.
Who do you think is going to have the greatest NFL career, Andrew Luck or RG3?
Who's RG3?
The second pick in the draft.
What's his name?
RG3, I'll look it up.
Oh, Robert Griffin or something?
Yeah.
Luck is on Indianapolis, no?
Yeah, and the other one went to Washington.
The guy who went to Indianapolis who's the quarterback. Because...
Robert Griffin III.
Yeah.
Who do you think will have... But forget what teams are on right now. Who do you think overall, their career, who do you think will have a great career?
It's all set up for him, because the Colts are a team that are set up for a quarterback. They don't have a quarterback, right?
Yeah.
So Luck comes in, he's a quarterback, he's a good one.
Yeah.
That he has the potential to really take that team over and be the new Manning.
Right.
So I think he's going to go farther. Okay. But it's going to take a couple of years. He's not going to be... Don't expect Manning numbers from him this first year. But if you're talking long term and they stay with it, he's the guy.
Who do you think's going to win the Super Bowl this year?
That's too early. We did this last year. Wow, you already have a pick?
Not going to be the Giants. I don't think the Giants will even win the division. So who? New England, because they loaded up in the draft. I think didn't they have 2 number 1 picks? Yeah, I'd say New England.
I'll tell you what team it won't be.
Mm-hmm.
It ain't going to be the Saints.
Man, they got slammed. Oh, wasn't it great finding out like the general manager wired the opposing?
Wiretapping is a federal offense.
I hope he goes to jail if it's true.
It's like Watergate. It's the pro sports version of Watergate.
Right.
It's
I was arguing about the Rubushkin case with some guy who's a lawyer, and I said,
Oh.
How could you give 23 years or 27? I think he got 27 years. When the average sentence for murder is 12. And the guy says you can't look at it that way. For every crime, there are sentencing guidelines. And after the Enron debacle, they dramatically changed sentencing guidelines for these types of white-collar crimes. He said the judge only had the discretion to choose between 23 to 30 years. And the prosecutor, I think, asked for 25, according to my friend. I'm not an expert in this case. And the judge added it by 2 years because the judge, according to the judge and the prosecutor, Rubushkin encouraged people to lie. I didn't have my details straight, but I was just thinking, if it's true that the judge had sentencing guidelines, which makes sense, and if the guidelines say 23 to 30 years, it's hard to get really upset at the judge, because you can only choose between 23 and 30. There's not a big difference between 27 and 23 years.
Right. But that's not the problem with the judge. The problem that I spoke about was that the judge should have recused herself, period.
Right.
Because the judge is supposed to make sure that there's a fair trial.
Right.
We'd have to go through and look with an iron comb to see what rulings were made on a day-to-day basis during the trial. We don't know. I'm not upset with the... What is it? The sentence? I'm upset with
the trial.
With the trial. And like I've said here, if he had a fair trial and he was found guilty and he was given 30 years, I wouldn't have a problem with it. My problem is I don't believe that he got 100% fair trial because the judge is tainted, at least has the appearance of impropriety.
I just learned something last week or two. I think this is correct. But according to a couple of friends I have who are Lubavitchers, Chabadniks, Lubavitch Hasidim, generally don't like prison sentences or long prison. They're generally really lenient in the criminal justice system, not just for Jews, but that's their general approach.
Well,
is that a general? I know there's no prison system in the Torah system.
Thank you.
I understand that, but that's not the general position of Torah Jews in the wider world. They're not like supportive of much more lenient sentencing. That's not, traditional Jews tend to have traditional law enforcement attitudes, and if people commit the crime, make them spend the time.
Here's the thing like this. Torah teaches us that there are 3 types of punishments. One is the death penalty.
Right.
So Torah Jews should be very pro-death penalty.
Right.
What do they call it? Whipping? So corporal punishment.
Fines.
And fines. Thank you. Those are the 3. Right? Those are the 3. The concept of a prison is not a Torah concept. The idea of being thrown into a dungeon, that's a Goyish concept. That was Mitzrayim. That's what Yosef was thrown into, right? So a Torah Jew looks at it and says, if it's a capital offense, like they killed someone, they should be killed. Don't have them rot in prison. Take them outside, string them up. Right? If a person stole something from somebody else, have them pay you back, have them add on to it.
But like most traditional Jews aren't upset by 3 strikes and you're out. You commit 3 felonies and you go away for at least 25 years. Like Torah Jews aren't upset about that.
I would like to see that.
Except for maybe Chabadniks. But aside from that, traditional Jews generally seem law enforcement oriented. Like, you commit a crime, you go away. They're not like agitating or concerned about, we need to have more lenient jail sentences for criminals.
I don't even know that Chabad people are like that, but you say, I don't know.
I just heard an opinion that they were, so I don't know if that's true. But generally speaking, Torah Jews vote Republican. Republicans generally want longer prison sentences for criminals.
Right. But here's the thing. This is why I'm not a Republican. Because I believe in destroy all the prisons. Open them up, flatten them out, kill all the prisons, blow them all up. I don't like.
And what about the prisoners?
Let's break it down to what they did. If they stole money, have them pay it back. Have them.
Three felonies.
What are the 3 felonies?
All theft.
Have this guy pay off everybody he ever ripped off, and if he can't do it, he becomes a slave. Torah has it right. You know, and the ones who for sure should not be in prison are the ones who took drugs. That's just stupid. Why are we wasting our money tying these people up in prison?
So we'll revisit this another show. I'm ready to wrap things up.
If we put people in prison because they took drugs, we should put people in prison because they're sex addicts.
Kids,
It's a good time to say it.
stay in yeshiva, stay off the crack.
All right.
And let me have that seat so that I can...
All right. No problem. Throw this out for me, please.
Okay, let me have that seat.
Oh, I was going to put it in there.
Let me have that seat.
Okay. All righty. How was that show?
Good, we're still broadcasting.